In this tutorial, I'll show you how to do magic loop with a provisional cast on. I'm going to be using the Turkish cast on to cast on 40 stitches. So a slip knot to begin with on my bottom needle. And this does not count as a stitch, it's just to keep the yarn in place. My bottom needle I'm going to use to keep my provisional stitches on, and my top needle is going to be my working needle. And the Turkish cast on is just a quick, simple one. We wrap the yarn around from back to front, and I need 40 stitches. So that's 1, 4, 5. I've wrapped my yarn around 40 times here. I've got 40 stitches. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull my bottom needle through, which is going to be where I'm going to keep my provisional stitches on, and just focus working on my top needle. So I'm going to grab the other side and then come across and knit those 40 stitches across, making sure I don't drop the yarn that goes underneath this. So I just go ahead and knit all 40 stitches all the way across. Okay, I've just finished knitting across all 40 stitches, and I can take a few minutes here and count and make sure I have 40 stitches on top and 40 stitches on the bottom. Again, remember that slip knot does not count as a stitch. We get rid of that whenever we need to come and work on these stitches. At this point, I can either put an end stopper on my other side of the needle for my provisional stitches like I have on this side, or I can just leave it like that if I'm going to be picking them up fairly soon, which I will in this case. Now to start working in the round for my sock, it's the same idea as a regular magic loop, except that instead of dividing it just on the top, I also need to make sure I give myself from on the bottom. So I count 22, 4, 6, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, which is halfway. And I'm going to pull a loop on both. So on the top one and on the bottom. So I have 2 loops. And then I turn my work to start working the magic loop. It's a little more confusing because we have 2 needles and a lot more going on, but it's the same principle. So I have to make sure all my work is facing in the same direction and that I don't have a twist. I will have this little twist here, which is normal because that's from my cast on. So that one is okay, but as long as all the purl stitches, all the bumps are facing inside, then we're good. What we want to avoid is something where the needles are twisted or something. That's what we want to avoid. So once we're here, we find our working yarn, which is coming out of this needle. Sorry, it's more stuff that I'm used to having in my hands. So the working yarn is coming out of this needle. So I'm going to want to start going into the stitches here. So I'm going to push my cable through until I get my stitches on here. Once my stitches are there, I can pull this one out. And I'm just going to pull my needle from my provisional stitches out because I don't need that right now. I don't need to go anywhere near that. And I'm just going to start knitting my stitches and working in the round. Make sure you're using the right needle and it's not the provisional cast on needle. And there, I pull snug and that's it. I can just go ahead, knit 2, purl 2, whatever the pattern needs. The pattern I'm doing needs me to knit 6 rows straight. So I will just knit across 20 stitches here and then 20 stitches here for 6 rows. Okay, so I've knit about 4 rows now, and you can see life stitches on my provisional cable here, waiting to be picked up later. And then the stitches that are on my working needle up here. I have 2 loops because I have the cable down here, and I have all sorts of stuff going on over here. I can at this point, if I want, just pull the bottom one through. It'll just keep it nice and round and simple for me to work with. And I just keep going until I'm ready to come and pick up those stitches.